Okay, so today's talk is about crypto and UX, right? A lot of people have, over the course of the 2 or 3 years since I've started Valor, people have asked me, crypto, UX, should I specialize in crypto? Should I specialize in UX? And so on and so forth. But what I want to focus this talk about today is actually take a bird's eye view of crypto and its evolution. I saw a few talks yesterday and phenomenal speakers and phenomenal content. Well done to the organizers. But there were so many things talked about, the tools, the principles, and the processes used for UX. My talk is not going to be about any of those. It's going to be looking at UX and product design in the context of technological evolution. So what I want to get out of it is that to appreciate how important product design and UX design is in making any technology ready for mass adoption, any technology ready for widespread mainstream adoption. My name is Badi. I'm the co-founder and chief product officer of Valor. I'm in no way, shape, or form claiming to be an expert in UX. As I said, I wear different hats. I'm the product person at the company. I'm thinking about new products and new things to innovate in the crypto space and bring to our customers. But I work with my team, and they do say that I do have a good knack to figure out if a UX works or not, and the flaws in the UX flows and things like that. So that is one of the hats that I wear at the company. So Valor is a crypto exchange based in South Africa, and where you can buy and sell the largest selection of cryptocurrencies in South Africa. All right, so just going back to what I was talking about in terms of where does UX and product design, what role does it play in the technology evolution? And I was thinking how to present this concept. And time and time and again, when I'm thinking about crypto, I'm deeply entrenched in crypto. Valor started, we started in 2018. So it's almost coming to about 4 years of operation. So I'm deeply entrenched in crypto. And many times when I reflect of where crypto is and where it's going, time and again, I'm thinking about, hey, this crypto stuff looks very, very similar to how the internet played out. Like, how did internet evolve? And there are some similarities in terms of how internet evolved and how crypto is evolving and how UX is playing a role in it. So let's go through the first thing that I wanted to do is just take a history lesson on how internet evolved from the very beginning. So in the late 1950s, there were a few guys, like you can call them techies. They like technology. They put a few devices together and make the two or three devices talk to each other. That was called ARPA, so a network of computers. And then many years later, like 4 years, which seems like a long time in a technology. That's one of the things. So it takes a long time for one of these technologies to mature. And you can see in this timeline, after 1958, the ARPANET, so there was one network connected to another network, only happened in the early 1960s. And then many years later, late 1980s, that's when there was a breakthrough with the World Wide Web, where it's not just private networks connected to private networks like in universities and so on. It's like worldwide. People could get onto a network and put documents on it and things like that. So in the early 90s, internet was all about documents. So I have a website, I put some content there, someone else has a website, they put some content there, and so on, and it became the internet of documents. Email was one of the key features of that time, but still very, very technical. Only people with deep know-how of how to spin up a mail server were able to send email. But that was in the early 90s. Then came the Internet of Commerce. This was an interesting stage of evolution. because people started selling things online. E-commerce became a thing, and many of the brick and mortar stores were like, how could you, how can you have someone pay someone who they don't even see or know, and expect them to deliver your goods to your doorstep? So in fact, it went so far as to, in the US, for example, in the late 90s, there was a move to ban e-commerce, ban selling things online, because a lot of people were getting scammed and things like that. But instead of banning, the regulators took a more balanced approach and say, okay, we want to regulate these players who are playing in the e-commerce space. And that was a huge boost to the industry. And nowadays, you think back and like, there's no way we could envision a world where you can't order something online and expect it to be delivered. So then in the early 2000s came the Internet of People. People were connecting with people, social media, Facebook, and all of those other Instagram and many social media platforms allowed people to connect with each other, applications to connect with each other. And in the late 2010, we're looking at Internet of Things. So I have my device, my computer connected to my watch and to my car and my house, and everything's connected. And then streaming became a thing. Now, thanks to the pandemic, we are looking at inviting the whole world into a metaverse where we are living in a virtual world, connected with each other, exchanging value, exchanging information. It's amazing if you think about the evolution from a few techies tinkering on a little technology called the connecting of computers, 2 or 3 computers in the 1950s, to now where the whole world is being invited to a virtual world where everything's interconnected. And you can imagine how you can think about how UX would have played its role in every single aspect of this evolution. And we'll touch upon it a little bit. So when we look at this evolution, there is a model that we can use to decipher what has really happened. It's not just the internet. When you think about storage, like floppy disk to all the way to the cloud, whether it's cell phones or computers, whatever technology evolution has happened, there's a model that's well-defined that we can use to assess how things are going. So that is called the technology adoption cycle. But before we get there, one of the things I wanted to highlight in this evolution is that there are 3 main aspects of this evolution. One is freedom. So it allows people freedom of choice to do their things, for example, and freedom of time. So one example that I can think of is back in the day, if you wanted to send a mail out to someone, you would get a letter pad, write your letter, put it in an envelope, go to the post office, get the stamp, put the stamp on, and then again, go put it in the post box. Someone comes and collects it, someone sorts it, figures out where it needs to go. And once it's there, either through whatever kind of modes of transportation, then someone else sorts it, figures out where to deliver. I mean, there was so much involved in sending as simple as a mail from one part of the world to another. Now we have come to enjoy this benefit of freedom because of the evolution in technology and internet. You send an email or a message, you don't think it's not a lot of work to get to people and get messages across. Then the second aspect of evolution is unification. So you're not thinking about who gets to use these benefits. Everybody in the world, regardless of gender, race, color, nationality, everyone has access to the culmination of this technological evolution and the benefits thereof. And then finally, this technology also is moving people and moving humanity towards a world without borders. Again, you're not thinking about, okay, here's an example. just a couple of decades ago, when you wanted to make a call and you're always thinking, oh, is this a local call or is this an international call? And how much it would cost and so on. And now we don't think about it. It is free. So you don't care whether your recipient of the call is in the US or in Europe, Australia, or Indonesia. It is one and the same. We are moving, technology is moving humanity towards a world without borders. So we will come to how crypto is also touching upon these aspects of evolution. So now let's move on to the analyzing of the technology evolution in terms of the model called the technology adoption lifecycle. Whenever a new technology comes on board, think about those ARPA engineers tinkering. So those are called innovators. You can call them techies. They like technology for the sake of technology. They tinker it. They don't care if things don't go their way. They will figure it out, fix it, and then keep on iterating to make technology happen, because that's their passion. The next group of people. So if you think about the area in this block is the number of people doing that. The next block of people are called early adopters. So you can call them as visionaries. They see, okay, there's a technology here, there's something here. This technology can solve problems that humanity is facing. So I want to adopt it. So these are early adopters, and you can think of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates of the world, where visionaries figuring out this technology and how to solve real problems using this technology. Then comes the rest of the guys, early majority, late majority, laggards. Early majority are the people who are practical. Okay, they see, okay, there's stuff that's happening and things are being solved. Okay, I'm going to use this technology. Late majority are more conservative. They say, okay, let the other guys figure out all the problems, let them face the issues and fix it before I start using it. And then the laggards who I hope I never become a laggard. Laggards who, like, I'd rather go to the post office and post the mail rather than switch on my computer. Or I'm happy with my typewriter. I don't want a computer. So they're averse to technology, but it's somehow, some shape or form, depending on how strong this force of technology is, they might have to adopt it. So they are laggards. So if you think about it a bit more deeply, the first two blocks, the innovators are early adopters, like new things. There are big pain points they're willing to solve, figure things out. That's the early market. Then comes mainstream market, but between the two, there is a big chasm. And in fact, there's a book written about it called Crossing the Chasm, from early market to mainstream adoption of any technology. Many technology may not make it to the mainstream market. One example that comes to mind is a pager. Like, I don't know if anyone in the audience is old enough to remember the pagers. So pager was, you have a pager device in your pocket, and then if someone wants to get hold of you, they will call the pager company, and if someone's available on the pager company call center, they would say, okay, you can only send like 3 words or 10 words message, and that the operator would send that message, and then the guy would get a beep, and then the beep will show the message 3 or 10 words, and then that person will have to find a phone, depending on what kind of emergency there is, find a phone and call the person to figure out. So if you think about the whole user experience, it was very cumbersome, right? And it never made it. So it was adopted by a few people, early adopters probably, and then it never made it to the mainstream market. I think the cell phone leapfrogged pages. And then there was other examples, ham radio, for example. That was another example that didn't ever make it to the mainstream market. So there are many examples of technologies never crossing the chasm. And to me, there are many aspects that have to come together to make this crossing the chasm. I mean, if you think about chasm is like, you have an earthquake and then the ground beneath you splits, and it's a huge leap. And it's not easy to do. And you're asking the people who are practical and looking at this technology and say, come on board, come on board. It's a huge ask. And if you think about the psychological barriers, the trust, the network effect, there's so many aspects that need to come together to make mainstream adoption happen. And one of the key features to me personally is product design, user experience design. How does someone look and feel and work with this technology? And that is a key to mainstream adoption. So if you think about this technology adoption lifecycle and map the crypto evolution against it, you're thinking about, like, just to give you a quick crash course, crypto started in late 2009, early 2009 when Bitcoin was the thing. So from then to now, there have been so many innovations, and we still, like in my view, maybe some people would disagree. In my view, we are still in the first two blocks. The two blocks, which is we're still people with who are techies and wanting to play with the technology for the sake of technology. Innovators and early adopters are still in that stage. It has not crossed the chasm. And one of the key reasons I see is the experience that people have with crypto is not simple. Like, yes, Bitcoin came up, and then now we're talking about decentralized exchanges, also called DEXs. What happens there is that you have to create your own wallet. Okay, so can my grandmother create her own wallet? Probably not. Like if you create a 12-phrase sentence and then, or a 24 words phrase, that becomes your key. If you lose your key, you've lost all your money, and you need to now connect this wallet. Don't know which wallet to use, and connect this wallet to a certain exchange to exchange your assets. It's really involved, right? And then we're talking now about non-fungible tokens, NFTs. I mean, you probably have read about it, where people are exchanging digital art. Again, it's quite involved. Their jargon, their wallet creation, your digital artwork to be on the blockchain and transfer ownership. There's things like what is floor price, what is minting. There's a lot of intricate details one needs to be aware before they get into non-fungible tokens. Then we're talking about decentralized finance. So take away the middleman, the banks. What do banks do? Lending, borrowing, derivatives, options, stock trading. Forget about the banks. Let's do everything on the blockchain, and that's called decentralized finance. That again is not ready for mass adoption yet, but still a lot of early adopters are using it. And finally, derivatives. I mentioned derivatives, and then gaming. Gaming has taken this year by storm in crypto, where people can play to earn. So you're playing and you're earning. Usually in the games in the past, you're earning coins or stars or diamonds or whatever, and it's just trinkets within the game and nothing comes out of it. But here you are talking about games with currency and artifacts that have real value that you can exchange on the blockchain as a non-fungible token, or play to earn coins that you can actually convert it to your own currency. So from Bitcoin, where you can just exchange money between people, to all the way to decentralized exchanges, non-fungible tokens, all the way to gaming, it's a lot of innovation that's happened. And many more innovation happening as we speak. I feel like, I keep telling my team, I feel like we are going in slow motion in a fast-moving space, which is crypto. Every month there's something new to learn and digest and think about what that means to our customers, and if that product is ready for our customers, and if it is ready, how do we package that product to our customers so that they have the seamless experience to use that product. There are the same aspects of evolution that I talked about in the internet applies here. So the three things: freedom, unification, and beyond borders. Freedom. Now, middleman, like if you think about Bitcoin and exchanging value, you don't have to go to the bank to change to send money. You can do it from your wallet, and then you can just send it to wherever you want. Unification. This technology is accessible to everybody. And then beyond borders is the value of one Bitcoin, whether you're in Switzerland or in South Africa or Uganda, it's the same thing. So there's no change in value. And you don't think about whether this person receiving is in the country or outside the country. You just do it because we are moving as humanity into a world without borders. So in conclusion, what I wanted to say is UX a silver bullet for crypto adoption? I think there is nothing like a silver bullet to solve problems, but it's a darn good tool in our toolbox. User experience, product design, to bring all the innovations that are happening to mainstream adoption. And one of the things that I would encourage people who are into UX is to not, like if you go back to this this chart here, not to be the laggards, or not to be even, like it is better to play in the first half of this bell curve rather than in the second half. You need to be, I mean, it's even better if you're part of the early adopters thinking about, hey, this seems like something that can transform humanity and move it forward. I want to be part of it. I want to design things that's usable and accessible and pleasurable and delightful and so on. And I encourage people to think about crypto as the same way how internet came about in the last 30 to 40 years, from few engineers to metaverse. Now, crypto has the same potential to transform humanity. And I encourage UX designers to think about where they want to play. Do you want to get into the game and think about product design and UX design only when most early majority comes on board? Or do you want to get in now before we cross the chasm? So those are my thoughts. Thank you for listening, and I'm open to questions. Thanks, Iggy.
Badi, thank you so much. Yeah, lots of good comments, and obviously there's some comments from Theo as well. So I've got these two questions so far. So Martin asks, do you think NFTs will enter the mainstream market? Will it maybe fizzle out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have the answer to that question, but just to give you a little history lesson, it was in 2017 when the first NFT made it into the market, and it had no value in 2017. So now it's 4 years ago, and it had no value, and all of a sudden, it came into limelight when one of the artworks created by this person called Beeple was sold for $69 million in Christie's auction. And as a result, there was a lot of interest in what this NFT can do and what it means for digital artists and what it means for digital art galleries and so on and so forth. But it is still early to say whether this is just a fad or if it is going to see mainstream adoption. But if it were to see mainstream adoption, again, going back to, it needs to be democratized. It needs to be available for people with as little friction as possible, and also checks and balances in place to make sure that the bad actors are kept away. I mean, it's similar to what happened during the e-commerce revolution in the late 90s. A lot of people got scammed. People were trying to sell things online. They got people paid, but things never arrived. And those things are happening right now in the crypto space and in the NFT space. And I think we will get there. I have hope that NFT has a huge play for democratizing digital artwork and artists to come on board onto the blockchain and cut out the middleman. But time will tell.
Thank you. The next question. What would you suggest for people wanting to get into crypto? Where should they start?
Yes. I think to start off, you can probably start following people on Twitter who talk about crypto. There's a term called crypto Twitter. So if you start following a few people who are into crypto now, your timeline will start talking about different crypto things that are happening. So I think start following people, prominent people in the crypto space, and follow what's going on. But I think what better way to get in on the game than actually have a skin in the game, right? So the best advice I usually give people is that if you want to get into crypto and keep track of what's happening, buy a little bit of crypto. If it's 100 Rand, it is 100 Rand. If it's 10 Rand, it's 10 Rand. Buy enough crypto that you are interested and where it's going, not just for the price movements, but also how the technology is evolving. So follow people, buy some crypto, and read a lot. And if you're an innovator, a techie, or a developer, it's amazing stuff out there to start playing with as well, in terms of smart contracts and so on.
Just to also maybe come back to something we spoke about. You mentioned that Vala has this awesome feature where you can actually automate deductions. So you could do a 10 Rand deduction once a month, or daily, or weekly. You can control the frequencies. Is that right? And that will obviously, that could help people in many ways.
Yeah. So one of the things customers who are not too tech savvy have asked is like, I don't want to worry about the price movement. I just want to put in a little bit every day or every week, every month when my paycheck comes in, and not worry about anything else. So what we've created is a product called Auto Buy, where you set up a bank EFT. You can decide the frequency, and then when the EFT comes in, we automatically buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP and then credit it to your wallet. So you set and forget, and come back in a few years and to see your portfolio grow. So many people have been using it and very loving the product, where you can do auto buy straight from your bank.
Okay, awesome, thank you. We've got another question from Asim. Is crypto still in the early market in SA? How do you see that resistance of buying into crypto being overcome?
Yeah, I do think it's in early market, not just in SA, but all over the world. Because one of the things when it comes to crypto is not just like, if you consider internet is exchange of information. When it comes to crypto, it's exchange of value. When people think about money and value, there's a huge psychological barrier. Like I don't mind signing up with an app where it's a messaging app, where I'm sending messages to people. But signing up to a financial app where I'm actually putting my money into it, it's a huge psychological barrier. And regulators are also wary, because now we're talking about value creation and value exchange. And now there's a whole bunch of other regulatory aspects that come in. So regulations are maturing. At Vala, we are actively engaging with the regulators to help create a framework for the country, so that regulators are comfortable and the crypto service provider are comfortable. So it is a journey. We are walking along with the regulators on this journey, but all the signs are very, very positive at the moment.
Thank you, Badi. We don't have any more questions, but if there are any more questions, like I said earlier, we'll be posting onto LinkedIn, tagging the speakers, and please engage with them, connect with them. Thank you so much for the insightful talk. Thank you.